Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the one-handed mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we are working on a Craftsman 9 horsepower, 28-inch path snow thrower. It's a two-stage Tecumseh motor on it. These are great machines. This one actually does not drive. When you hit the drive handle down, it does not want to go anywhere. There is a problem underneath here where there's a possibility that there's a bolt that broke under here. This is not the case on this one. This one is actually under this cover and it's a spring that broke, and I'm going to show you that right now. So let's get to the tools that we need today. Okay, so from left to right, you're going to possibly need a pair of needle nose pliers, 3/8 socket. I have a small 2-inch extension for a 1/4-inch ratchet. You guys can use whatever you have. 1/2-inch drive socket. This is the spring, and I definitely would recommend finding the model number on your machine, and I'll show you that in a minute, just to get the correct spring. This spring is actually very different looking, and if you try using a different kind of a spring, it may not work. So definitely get the right spring for the job. 1/2-inch wrench, magnet just in case you drop the spring. This is a clamp to hold down one of the handles up top on the handlebar. I'm going to use my electric 1/4-inch ratchet that I always do, and you're most likely going to need a flashlight to see what you're doing. Let me just show you the model number now. Underneath on the side here, actually right on the back here, is the model number 247.888530. That is what you're going to take to Sears Parts Direct online, and you can find the parts and then look them up, and you can probably just order them online also. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to take off this cover, and it should be just a 3/8 socket. Okay, so right here is the spring that broke, and it's definitely a strange one. Now you're trying to tell yourself where was it? Where did it go? Okay, this is a little bit tricky. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to engage these belts right here so we can move this idler arm in so I can get to that part where we need to be for the where the other half of the spring goes. Take your hand clamp, and you're going to go to your auger control and clamp it down like that. You can use whatever clamp you have at home. What that does is that pushes this arm, this idler, in, so we have a little bit more room in here. And because the transmission drive belt here is now loose because this spring broke, okay, we're going to take off the belt up top here and roll it. You're just going to roll it over, and then it'll drop down. And this kind of gets in the way. You don't want it to come off the bottom pulley, but I'm just going to kind of put it up out of the way here. And if it is dry rotted, unfortunately, you're going to have to replace this, but ours is in good shape. Now, if you can see, we're way down in here, there's a slot. That's where you have to put the spring. That's where the spring went. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come around here. So this bolt has to come out. Now, this bolt does not go all the way into it actually leaves this a little bit loose. So remember, don't screw that bolt in to the block. I'm not sure how far that goes. Now, this was pretty snug, and I'm pretty sure that I didn't put it on the parts, but I think we're going to need red Loctite, because I think this has Loctite on it. And the reason why I'm not using a ratchet right now is because the spring kind of gets in the way of the head of the bolt. Now, once it gets out to the point where you can take it off with your hand, I highly suggest using your fingers, unless you want to go underneath the machine and start looking for parts. You don't want to drop anything right now, because it will go in the bottom of the transmission case. And you can see the red on the bolt. Okay, so that red on that bolt is red Loctite. Okay, and you're going to go over now. I'm keeping the spring on this bolt so I know which way it came off. I'm also going to use a little red Loctite. I didn't put that in the parts that we needed, but we definitely need a little, because you don't want to screw it all the way in. You don't want it to vibrate out. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to take the new spring. You're going to put the spring right into the slot there, just like so. Like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the bolt and put a little red Loctite on it. Okay, so here's the bolt. Got some red Loctite on it. Just going to go ahead and start it in. And I guess technically you really didn't have to worry about the where that spring went in because it can only go through the slot one way. So I take that back. You didn't really need to know where the spring, how the spring was on the bolt, because the spring can only go into that hole on the bracket from the front. The easiest way, but that's the way it was. The spring was on the bolt. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this into where it was very close, but the spring had enough room to move. You don't want the spring to the point where it won't move. You need a little bit of fluctuation there. And yeah, this bolt is very loose, so that red Loctite must work, because you don't want to push it in any more than that. I don't want to go in any further than that. Okay, so now we have a spring-loaded pulley system. We're going to go ahead and bring this belt back around underneath. And because it's spring-loaded now, make sure that your belt is on the flat spot of the pulley, because the flat part of the belt goes on the flat part of the pulley. And then we need to walk it around the top of this pulley here, just like this. All right. Everything's lined up good right there. Make sure the spring is not binding anywhere. Make sure you're on there. Okay, so we're good here. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on. Now keep your handle locked in the on position for your augers. That'll help you put your belt cover back on again, because it's a little tricky to get these belt covers on with the belts flapping around. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put this down on the ground and take it for a test run. That should be it. Make sure you take your handle clamp off your auger handle, and we should be good to go. So that pretty much sums it up for how to correct a no drive situation on a Craftsman 9 horsepower 28-inch path 2-stage snow thrower. It had a bad spring. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.